Welcome to today's show, or today's video. We're going to be talking about customer journey maps and how they can be the key at unlocking and increasing your company's revenue. Hopefully you do not hear that awkward train in the distance right there. Now, increasing your company's revenue is a bold claim and a bold statement that I don't take lightly. So I want to be thinking about how we can reverse engineer this so it can make sense. So to increase your revenue, you're going to need more deals. And to increase your number of deals, you're going to need more leads. And to increase the number of leads you have, you're going to need to increase the amount of people that know who you are and what you provide. And each of these can be broken down into those three phases of the marketing funnel: awareness, consideration, and decision. Awareness at the top, that's problem recognition. They realize they have a problem and they're going to start their journey on searching for a solution. Consideration, that's where they're going to start thinking about what options they have in order to solve this problem. Now, at this stage, they can decide to do nothing about it, solve it internally, or they can start shopping at every end of the spectrum for pricing. And the last part being decision, where ultimately they're making a decision on who they want to go with, who's going to help solve this problem with them or for them. Now, it's been studied that it takes about 7+ touch points in order to convert a B2B sale. And when thinking about that user journey, right, we're going to be talking about a customer journey map here in a second. How many touch points do you typically have with a user as they go through it? Now, when I say it takes 7 touch points to close a B2B sale, do you think that that number is way high, that it's actually a lot fewer? Do you think it's spot on where it is between that 7 to 10 touch points? Or do you think that is crazy low and you are probably more in the 20 or 30 realm? So feel free to hit pause because I'm curious what you actually think here. And real quick, if you like this kind of content and don't want to get left behind in this fast-paced world of marketing, definitely subscribe to the channel because we are cranking out long-form content every week, short-form content every day, with the whole goal of making you a better, more effective, and more efficient marketer. All right, now back to it. Whether it was the last sale that you closed or the last deal you were a part of, how many touch points can you count between the entire customer journey? You probably had at least 2 to 3 Zoom or phone calls, so that probably knocks that number down to about 5. You probably had some back and forth over email, text, or both, so that probably knocks it down a few more. And what else? What other touch points were there? To think about what other touch points there might have been, it helps to think about what an actual touch point is. And how I define it? It's any interaction that that user has with your brand. So zooming out a little bit, right? That's every time they visit your website, that's every blog post that they read, every social media post they see or engage with, every email newsletter that they decide to open or skip right past, right? Now that number 7 sounds kind of low, or at least in my opinion it is. And the key to increasing your revenue here is going to be optimizing every step of the process, right? Every touch point your brand has with a user. And one of the most important reasons for this is because in the B2B arena, right, we are always competing when dealing with a customer. Rarely are they ever going to just pick us without evaluating at least a few other options. Sometime in their RFP, it's going to state that they have to interview at least 3 to 5 other candidates. And so with that in mind, every interaction is either positive or negative, right? If it's positive, it's a trust builder. It's building the case on why they should go with us. Or it could be a negative interaction, something eroding away that trust and making our competitors shine a little bit brighter. So a customer journey map is essentially a research project, which then turns into a marketing tool. And the first part of that process is identifying every single touch point throughout that process, from awareness to consideration to decision to usage and to customer loyalty, because we can't optimize the user experience if we don't know what all the steps are. And then once we have all the phases mapped out, it's then plotting all the finer details inside of that map. What is the user thinking? What are their thoughts? What are their concerns? What are their pain points? And most importantly, what do they want from a vendor, a supplier, or a partner at each stage of these? In the beginning, it's probably more about, can you do what I'm looking for, right? Can you solve my problem? And then it's more about, how do you solve that problem? How well do you solve that problem? How fast can you do it? And towards the end, what kind of social proof do you have? Who else have you done this for that I know of that would recommend you? And now the key words that you choose to use at each stage are going to be very important here. Not only because that's when a user is going to be searching for answers on search engines like Google, but it's also because it's going to be more tailored content to exactly what they're looking for. When they're first thinking about, can you solve my problem? They don't care about a testimonial video. And vice versa, once they are all the way down the decision-making process, they probably already know that you can solve the problem. So now they're looking for that kind of content. And the keywords that you use helps define what they should be looking at and where they are in the process, which is its own video in itself. So if you want us to do a video specifically about the keywords to use at each phase, comment funnel down below and we'll do it for you. Now let's play out 2 common examples of how a user becomes interested in working with us. One would be a referral, which is a great position to be in. You get an email or a text introduction, and then that probably leads to a phone call. So things to think about in that is, how fast do you respond and what does your response look like? If it is an email introduction, what does your email signature look like? Do you have any supporting content that's linking out to your website or your blog in that email signature? Another thing to think about is that if a user just types your name into Google, what does that look like on the search engine results page? Not your website, on search. What does that look like? Are you ranking in the first position? Are there competitors bidding on your brand name? Do you have a Google My Business profile set up? And are there any reviews and photos on there for them to look at? These are all things to take into consideration because before that referral actually happens, they likely Googled you. And what did that look like? And of course, obviously, what did the front page of your website look like? And was that a trust builder and a positive experience for the user when they got there? Another key thing, are you listed on the team or the about page? For me personally, whenever I get introduced to somebody and I don't see them listed anywhere on the website, I dock a point. Mostly because I want to be working with somebody experienced who's been with the company for a while. And if you're not listed on the website, it kind of tells me that maybe you're not that important or maybe you haven't been there in a while. And for me, that is just a trust eroder. That's a weird way of saying it. It's just something that doesn't feel good to me. So then after that first call, what does the follow-up look like? Are you sending links or PDFs as case studies and testimonials that the user can review? How long does it take to get them to a proposal state? What do your proposals look like? Do you schedule that follow-up and review call on that initial call? Or do you wait until they've got the proposal in hand and then schedule it over email from there? How easy is the scheduling process? Do you have a link to your calendar so that they can self-select a time, or is it back and forth over email to find out what's convenient? The key is to eliminate as much friction as possible throughout this process so that the user feels special and that the entire conversation or the entire interaction, it feels seamless, it feels intuitive, it feels natural. And now let's take another scenario. The user's browsing social media and sees a post or an ad from you, and then they click on it, and where does it take them? That could be to a blog post, a landing page, maybe a promotion that you're running. And how many types of conversions are you offering on that page? Is it something hard, like they have to put in their name, email to get an ebook right away? Is there something softer, like subscribing to a newsletter? That way it's a little bit easier and less intimidating for them. And once you do convert them as a social media follower, how are you trying to get their email address? And if you do get their email address, what does that email automation and drip sequence look like? Do you have any webinars coming up where users can get more educated on either the products and services you offer, or the type of problems that you solve, or where the industry is going? The more diversified your content is, the easier it is for a user to latch on to something that you're talking about. And the one thing that all of us hate doing is sending an email that says, I'm just following up, I'm just checking in. We all hate sending them, and we even hate more receiving them. So content is your secret weapon or your key to stay top of mind with users. And the entire goal of marketing is to always be in the best position to win. And what that means is always being top of mind with the user when they're ready to make a purchasing decision. If we're thinking about buying new running shoes, we already know who we're evaluating, right? Nike, Hoka, and maybe a few others. And that's the power of branding. We already know who we're going to evaluate. And so one of the things I want you to think about is how can you use your content to always be top of mind with them? One piece of data that I check regularly is our email marketing data, because I want to know who's most engaged, who's dropping off, and if I have an active deal with somebody and I see they're engaging with our email marketing, then I know I can leave them alone because that means that we're already top of mind and we're accomplishing that goal. If I see that they are not engaging with our social media or our email marketing, then I know that deal is at risk. And I should either be prepared to lose it or take a more proactive approach and send a one-to-one email and make sure that our company is represented in the best way possible. So to wrap things up, once you complete the customer journey research process, you should have all of your touch points mapped out so you can start thinking about what needs optimizing. And when you do this process, you may realize that you are missing a lot of content. So now the customer journey map becomes a tool for your marketing department to help identify what content they need to create and what content needs to be updated. That is called a content gap analysis. And it's how you can start thinking about leveling up your marketing efforts by updating, optimizing, and creating new content for each of those touch points. And again, that probably deserves its own video, but that's where marketing strategy starts coming into play. It's prioritizing that content and creating a schedule on which ones you're going to work on first. Me personally, I use a chart like this to help plot out all of the content we want to create. I base it off of how much effort it's going to take and how much value it's going to provide to the user. I usually start with updating our existing content first because hopefully that's pretty low effort and high value items. And then anything else that falls in that low effort, high value category, we tackle next. And then anything that's in that high effort, high value quadrant, those are longer term projects that we create a workflow, create a schedule, and start chipping away at over time. So hopefully you're walking away with this video with a few action items. Create a customer journey map so you can better understand all the touch points a user has with your brand, and then conduct a content gap analysis to understand what content needs to be updated or created. And then utilize a prioritization matrix to help identify where you're going to start and how you're going to get all this done. If you have any questions at all, definitely drop them as a comment below. And if you found this video valuable, the best way to say thank you is forward this along to a friend or a colleague. That's all we got for today, so I will see you on the next one.